He'd like to be an electrician. She would like to be a dermatologist. She would like to be a cosmetologist. He would like to be a machinist. He would like to be a software engineer. He would like to be a civil engineer. She would like to be a cardiac stenographer and radiographer. And she would like to be an English teacher. Did you know that by 2018, almost 2/3 of all jobs will require some post-secondary education beyond high school? 27% of people with post-secondary certificates and credentials, less than an associate's degree, can earn more than the average bachelor's degree recipient. 78% of the jobs in healthcare require less than a bachelor's degree. Bill Bartle is the Youth Policy Director for PA Partnerships for Children, a statewide advocacy organization for children and young adults. Recently, Mr. Bartle led the development of the Work-Based Learning Toolkit for employers and after-school providers. Many young people and their families are unaware of the jobs of the new economy or the education and skills needed to attain them. And many employers have difficulty finding the qualified workers they need to innovate and grow. One of the solutions to this issue is for business and education to partner and provide career awareness and work-based learning opportunities for young people. Bill talks about work-based learning and why it's so important to young people and employers.
First, young people and their families really don't have a clear idea of the types of careers that are available to them today. Do they know what a nanotechnologist does? Do they know there are chemical pathologists, that there are social media strategists, forensic accountants? Do they know what these jobs are? Do they understand the educational requirements to get these jobs? And do they know how they could obtain those skills? Right now, it's not just a four-year degree anymore, but there is a mismatch in Pennsylvania and around the nation in the educational attainment level of the workforce and the needs of the workplace. So here on the left is the educational attainment level of Pennsylvania's workforce. 45% of the workforce is what we would consider unskilled, and they define that in the census as a high school graduate or a GED or less. These 45% of the workforce is competing for 24% of the jobs that require that level of educational attainment. And candidly, these jobs are disappearing, and they often don't pay benefits, and they do not really pay a self or family sustaining wage. Then you go up to the next level, the red level here. 26% of our workforce has what's defined as some college or an associate's degree. This could be an apprenticeship program, an industry credential, an associate's degree, some education beyond high school, but not a four-year degree. So 26% of our workforce has this level of educational attainment, and they have the luxury of competing for 51% of the jobs in the state of Pennsylvania.
Jeanette Carter is the Director of Outreach for K-12 at the Pennsylvania College of Technology. She's worked with many school districts, colleges, and career and technical centers in multiple states. She is also the lead coordinator for the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Career Development Leaders Network, which is the statewide committee charged with developing resources for the academic standards for career education.
Why is it the career education and work standards, or why is it the career development? I'm really going to talk about career development. And career development in the sense of career education and work is more than just, by the way, figuring out what job you like, but it's also learning the skills to get the job and keep the job, or to create a job, to become an entrepreneur. So, but the conversation has to do with why is it important for each of these groups. I think we've talked about parents. What do they want? They don't want them to come back after college and live, and have so much debt that they can't live out of the house and then not find a job. That's what parents want, I think. And they want all that to happen and be out of the house before they're 35. Students, what do they want? They're not sure what they want. Honestly, they want to get out of school. They want it. They really need relevance. We need to help them understand why what they learn is important and to put it in context for them. So I implore industry, when you have students with you, you've got to think about how to make what you tell them important to them. And I'll talk a little bit about how I think you do that later on. But the piece we often miss is we send kids out to job shadow. We send them out to do workplace environment. And we never ask the kids to say, and what does this mean to you? How do you fit? Where's your piece in this? For employers, for educators, what do they want? They want kids who come to school, who pay attention. Employers, I think we know what you want. At the minimum, you want what I call employability skills. You want people to come to work on time. You want them when they're there to be engaged, to actually work, to get along with others and figure out how to work in an environment, how to problem solve, and how to bring their brain to work. You know, we talk about critical thinking, problem solving, how to bring your brain to work. That is really what's going to make the United States economic position stronger than any other place. We don't have as many bodies, but we've got the potential for the greatest problem solvers and critical thinkers in the world. So I'm now within 4 or 5 years of retirement, and so the question is, what am I going to do? So what is it I do? I look at who I am, what I like, what makes me happy. I figure out what I know about that, what I don't know. I figure out what skills I need. Do I need to go and have some training? I need to then maybe do some resource collection. And then finally, I'm going to do it. That's no different than what happens to a high school junior, senior when they're trying to figure out where they're going next. So it's a process. You learn a process. From what's it worth, the economic value of college majors. The main point is this. It's as important what major you pick as it is going to college or not. The difference can be between having a job that pays $30,000 a year or $120,000 a year. And a lot of kids just think going to college is all that's important, and it's not. It's also critical what it is that you, and in addition, it makes a difference on whether you're employed after college. What a thought. So part of the plan needs to go back to what do the kids want to eventually do, not just what they want to study.
Bill Simons is the director of Pathways to Prosperity Project, which is based at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. The Pathways Project was created in 2008 to find promising solutions to our national failure to prepare many young adults for success.
The first thing we need to look at is how the labor market has been shifting. And there's some misconceptions here today I'd like to talk about. The first thing, which many of you are aware of, is that our labor market has become more demanding. As I said, it used to be that a high school degree was really the passport to the American dream. If you had graduated from high school, you could expect to get a job that would allow you to lead a middle-class life, to buy a home, to send your kids on to college or further education, to have a comfortable retirement. But what's happened is that in the last generation, we've had a dramatic change in that. Between 1973 and 2007, we created 63 million jobs in the U.S., tremendous rate of job expansion. One reason for that is that so many women came into the workforce. But over that same period of time, jobs open to those with only a high school education or less fell by 2 million. So that's really a titanic shift in the dynamics of the labor market. Just imagine that, an increase of 63 million jobs, but a drop of 2 million jobs in those open to those with just a high school degree or less. So as a result, we can now say that in today's economy, in 2012, post-secondary education has really become the new passport to the American dream. If you have a high school degree or less, your options are far more limited, certainly far more limited than they used to be. I'm sure many of you, like most Americans, believe that the key to success is to attend a four-year college and get your bachelor's degree. That's a widely held view. However, what this chart here shows, and this was done by economists at Georgetown University, is that on jobs being created in the current decade, only one-third, those are the jobs in the dark red there, only one-third actually require a four-year degree or higher, only a third of the jobs. Another 30% of the jobs require skills that you need education beyond high school, but you don't need a four-year degree. So these are what we call middle skills jobs, very technically demanding often. They can be very well paid. They do not require a 4-year degree. And at the top, we see the yellow, 36%. Those are jobs that require a high school degree or less. Now, there's still plenty of jobs for people with only a high school degree or less. The problem is increasingly they're not very well paid and they don't offer very good benefits. So it's not the best track for our young people to pursue. But I think what this chart shows is because we put so much focus on going to 4-year colleges like Penn State or Pitt, that people have lost perspective on what's going on in the labor market. So here in Pennsylvania, they also broke this down on a state-by-state basis, and they said that by 2018, there are going to be about 6.4 million jobs in the state of Pennsylvania, and about 56% of these are going to require some education beyond high school, so the clear majority. However, only 29% are going to require a 4-year degree or more, and 27% are going to require an associate's degree or certificate or some other kind of post-secondary education. So again, only 29% of the jobs are going to require a 4-year degree or more. Given that fact, there's no reason why we need to tell all our kids to go to a 4-year college. It simply isn't necessary. So one of the things we're saying at the Pathways Report is we need to broaden our definition of success. We want all of our young people to succeed and to lead a productive life, but there's more than one pathway to get there. There's not just one road to heaven, as one of my colleagues likes to say. Depending on what you want to do, in many cases going to a technical or community college is a better route to get there. An apprenticeship program also makes a lot of sense. And the military can teach us a lot about how to train people while they're working. The point is there's multiple pathways to success, and we've got to start embracing those. Now, at the college level, we've done a really good job of sending our kids to college. Great job. We've sent a lot of kids to college. The problem is most of them never actually get a degree. This shows the on-time graduation rate. For 4-year schools, they're giving you 6 years to get your bachelor's degree. But after 6 years, only 56% have actually gotten their degree. At 2-year colleges, they're giving you 3 years, and after 3 years, only 29% have gotten a degree. What those students are getting is a lot of debt. This year, for the first time, the amount of student debt held by students is going to surpass $1 trillion. That's more money than the Americans have on their credit cards, which is really staggering. I mean, we all know how people like to use their credit cards, yet student debt is going to surpass that. And it's becoming a real burden for many students. They're graduating with this huge debt. And by the way, you cannot file for bankruptcy and get out of many student loans. Really, the only way out of a student loan in many cases is to die, unfortunately. I mean, it's one of the most difficult loans to get out of. So it's a real burden, and we're sending, if a student is going to college, they're not prepared for it, they don't know why they're going, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, connected with that, they found out if you've got kids interested and excited, you're going to raise the graduation rate. That only makes sense. The number one reason why students drop out of high school is they're bored and they feel the education is irrelevant. That's the number one reason. There's many other reasons, but that's the most important reason. And if you're in vocational education, you can see why you're in school. You're learning something that's practical that you're going to be able to use. And, of course, it really facilitates the transition to the workforce. How does this pay off? Yesterday we heard a presentation from an economist in Europe who studies this. And what she showed is the countries with the best vocational education that also have a flexible labor market, which means if you hire somebody, you can also get rid of them if things don't work out. In those countries, their youth unemployment rate is far, far lower than what it is here in the U.S. As a matter of fact, it's about 5% in Switzerland. In the U.S., it's at least 20%. It's probably actually even higher when you consider all the kids who've dropped out of the workforce. So this is an approach that really works in terms of helping young people transition to the labor force. So the bottom line is that our approach to education is increasingly out of step with the rest of the world. Other countries have realized if they want to prosper in the 21st century, they have to offer high-quality vocational education as a critical component. In this country, too many Americans still think of that as the second best option, something for kids that aren't smart enough to succeed in the academic class, and nothing could be further from the truth. By the way, if you look at what's going on in vocational education today, did you know that the reading level of the typical career education class is at a grade 14 level. Second year of college, it's much higher than what students are reading in college prep English. So that's because, you're reading technical manuals and that kind of thing, which are written often at a very advanced level. So our conclusion is that given the fact other countries are passing this up, they have lower youth unemployment. With these systems, they're achieving higher attainment, that we should look at some of these practices and principles and try to apply them to the U.S.
Next, our local industries have a vested interest in our students. They are their future workforce. Hear firsthand from industry leaders throughout our region about the unique opportunities within their workforce, the critical skill sets needed, and their interest in engagement with education.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. Jeanette brought up a point earlier when she mentioned about the girls. And I thought that was an interesting comment because in our company today, we have a number of young girls. And first of all, we target the folks that aren't going to graduate. Those are the people the kids that drop out of college, those are the people that we actually target, recruit, and try to bring into our company. But what's interesting about that is, and I don't know if they're the ones falling through the cracks per se, or just kind of the ones you feel somewhat sorry for, because we've got a number of young girls who work in our company, very good, kids that are going to have some wonderful careers if they choose to stay with it. But these are kids that have dropped through the cracks. I'll say it this way. We have two girls that have psychology degrees, realized they got out of school, 4-year degree, they got out of school, can't afford to work in their chosen field, end up in our factory. Now they have a job and found out that they enjoy, well, 2 of them, enjoy working there. We'll see how long, but those are the ones that I feel bad for, only from the standpoint they're saddled with an enormous amount of debt. They spent a lot of time to get their career kick-started, and now, finally they seem to be on a path. Again, they seem to be the ones where we talked about all day today, the career intervention. Had somebody simply counseled these folks early on, maybe they could have saved themselves a lot of time and a lot of money.
My belief is there's a role for all people in our society, in our economy. There's lots of different jobs out there. But if you're branding kids as losers, it really leaves a distinct mark on them. Again, I've seen this in my own family with my youngest son. He's now convinced he's a winner. He's going to a career education program. He's convinced he's got a great future in the culinary industry. And by the way, that's not an industry that's going to be outsourced. There's some industries we have to worry about losing jobs to foreign competition. Culinary is not one of them, unless some of you don't want to eat today. Then, maybe we can ship the food in from some other place. Otherwise, it's going to have to be done here. So let's turn now to the question of what's going on in the economy in St. Mary's. What kind of job opportunities are there now, and do you see emerging in the future? And I think everybody in the panel probably has some thoughts on that. So reflect on your specific industry and what you see happening.
And just one other thing I want to add is nursing is really the profession for women, but we are seeing more men get into that field, so please encourage men to get into that field because patients love men. Because the greatest population we take care of is the elderly, and it's mostly the female elderly, and they fall in love with those men. And men, they can be nursing assistants also. So.
Thank you.
I'm very similar. Most of our positions, ours is more the human service, healthcare related aspect, but we do employ nursing, psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists. But of our 600 employees, about 150 of those require degrees. The rest of them require only your high school diploma or GED. But it is very difficult because, as we said, they get the false notion when they go to school for their bachelor's degree in psychology that they're going to come and work for us and do some therapist's work. And by state regulations, you can't provide therapy with a bachelor's degree. So that's an unrealistic notion that I don't know where they're getting along the line, but they're getting it somewhere that they're thinking they can provide therapy with a bachelor's degree, and unfortunately they can't. So
one of our biggest problems in manufacturing right now is we are evolving in what we're doing skill-wise. However, we still have a lot of entry-level jobs, middle-skill jobs, and professional jobs available. We have dying trades, unfortunately. that are not trained in this area, such as machinists, die setters, those types of skills. The average age at my workforce right now is 48 years of age. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to have a mass exit and retirement, and I need to start building my people's skills to fill some of these roles. A machinist, for example, in a tool and die maker can make $25 an hour. But to train a tool and die maker takes a lot of time too, so we need to be starting now. We need these skills to be in our people, but we no longer have that type of skill being taught in our area. So with the high level of manufacturing that we have in our area, why are we not teaching that in our area? It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. But we also have a lot of technical positions that evolve, a lot more robotics, a lot of those types of things. These kids who are playing video games day in and day out, they're learning a great skill. And I know us as parents, I'm a parent, you know, get off the video games, get outside, but they are learning a really great skill that is going to take them far if they become very apt to that technical ability. That is a skill that sometimes we can't teach them just in a classroom. So I think a lot of those life lessons are very well paid off, and the robotics is going to be huge, you know, as our business continues to evolve.
For more information on North Central Business and Education Connect, preparing our youth for the 21st century, visit ncwib.org.